My name is Nassim Saabs.
Let me ask you a question. Has anything ever happened to you that you couldn't explain? That made you feel sort of foolish when you tried to tell somebody about it? Well, if it has, you have plenty of company, as you'll soon see.
That's right, I'm here at the Abilene Regional Airport, where the Abilene Fire Department and airport first responders are on the scene of a simulated crash site. This simulation is designed to keep first responders prepared at all times in the event of an actual plane crash.
We need a level 2 mass casualty response to the Abilene Regional Airport. Multiple casualties out on the ground.
First responders were in full gear Wednesday morning, responding as they would in the event of a real plane crash.
All bodies remaining inside the aircraft are obvious DOAs.
Don Green, Abilene Regional Airport's Director of Transportation Services, says it's vital for his crews to practice emergency procedures.
Well, it gives us a chance to exercise what is in the plan and have all the agencies come out and respond as if they would in a real scenario, a real situation.
Every 3 years, the FAA mandates this drill to be conducted. 24 volunteers staged around a plane waiting for crews to come to their rescue, performing real life-saving techniques like bandaging a head wound.
I think they all did a wonderful job. They were very caring, very, checking on me and saying, "Are you all right? Can you hear me? All the right questions." So it was great.
When the plane crashed, my wife was sitting next to me, and I haven't seen my wife since the crash, and I don't know where she is.
And at Grozny Airport, family members desperately await news of their own. Are their loved ones alive?
The FAA requires that airport fire trucks are on the scene within 3 minutes of receiving the first call.
Engine 2 is going to be initiating triage.
In the event of an emergency, the airport tower will notify the Abilene Fire Department as well.
We're going to have what we would call a first alarm response go ahead and head out this way to the airport. So we're going to have numerous trucks coming this way. We're going to have numerous ambulances coming this way, as well as law enforcement.
Preparing for events they've seen in the past. The last crash was back in 2015 on Labor Day weekend, where 2 people died. Reporting from Abilene Regional Airport, Olivia DeVenti, K-Texas News.
Despite the wreckage, officials say dozens of people survived. But as emergency teams assemble, the death toll reaches above 30. Survivors can be seen limping from the wreckage, dazed, bleeding, but incredibly alive. The plane was travelling from the Azerbaijani capital Baku to the Russian city of Grozny, an area recently targeted by Ukrainian drone strikes. The plane then diverts hundreds of miles over the Caspian Sea to Kazakhstan, Russian media says, due to poor weather, before it looped over the city of Aktau before the crash. The majority of its passengers from Azerbaijan. Within hours, their president said this.
The reasons for the crash are not yet known to us. There are various theories, but I believe it is premature to discuss them. The matter must be thoroughly investigated. A criminal case has been launched, and the Azerbaijani public will be regularly informed about the case.
And from their hospital beds, questions too for the survivors.
Developing story from Kazakhstan in the last few hours. Many people are feared dead after a passenger plane with nearly 70 people on board crashed in the southwest of the country. At least 32 survivors have been taken to hospital. Dramatic footage shows the plane falling towards the ground, followed by a large explosion as it hits the ground. Footage shows some of the survivors being led away from the wreckage. And we've had more video coming in the past hour, filmed by an eyewitness slightly closer to the crash, the plane dropping from the sky before hitting the ground. It was operated by Azerbaijan Airlines. It went down near the city of Aktau. The flight was travelling from the Azeri capital Baku to Grozny in Russia, but it was diverted due to bad weather. The wreckage of the plane at the crash site shows the tail of the plane upended but partly intact. Let's hear more from Jonathan Josephs.
The first thing to say is details are very much still emerging as this situation develops. What we do know is mainly from the Kazakh authorities. They tell us that there were 67 people on board this aircraft, including 5 crew, and that survivors have been taken to hospital. That is 29 people at the last count. That number has been changing over the last few hours, and it does, at the latest count, include 2 children. Now, this happened near the city of Aktau. The flight was originally from Baku in Azerbaijan, heading to Grozny in southern Russia, but seems to have been diverted. Reports suggest that was because of bad weather at Grozny. And it seems to have come down near the Caspian Sea. Pictures from the crash show a large body of water on the horizon. There are a huge number of rescue personnel involved. The Kazakh authorities posting on social media saying that that was about 150 people involved in it. And we can see that the plane must have come down with some force. It seems to have broken into 2. There is the back half of the plane almost intact on this field, and other parts show that there are scorch marks on the earth. There must have been a fire with the fuel tanks exploding. That would be the working presumption here. And there were bodies thrown from the aircraft. We can see that they have been covered by sheets in this field as they are surrounded by the authorities. Their focus will probably be initially on trying to find the flight data recorders to try and get some more information and to understand from the cockpit what the pilots were experiencing and trying to piece together exactly what happened using that information.
Now, we're looking at the pictures now that you described, Jonathan, that plane completely broken, but the back section still intact. It's an Embraer 190, I believe. What more do we know about that model, and what's the manufacturer saying?
So Embraer is a Brazilian company, sometimes thought of as perhaps a number 3 behind the 2 big companies in the commercial aviation business, which are obviously Airbus and Boeing. Boeing has obviously had lots of problems with its aircraft over the last year or so. But Embraer has normally had a pretty good safety record. The E190 is a smaller jet, normally configured to have around 100 passengers on board, depending on how an airline wants it. And as I say, it has a very good safety record. It has a range of about 2,800 miles, I think it's about 4,500 kilometres, and a top speed of about 630 miles per hour. Used on many shorter flights around the world, trying to link smaller cities together because you don't need such a big runway for it. Now, sources at the manufacturer say that they are working to understand exactly what happened. A spokesman for Embraer has told me that they are ready to assist the Kazakh authorities and that their concerns and sympathy go to the family, friends and colleagues and the loved ones of those who've been affected by this accident. It's an unusual circumstance for this company, and they...
Don't miss out.